Episode: Pre-Production Tech and Dev Plan Review. Pre-Production Deep Dive Tech and Development Plan Checklist. Let's talk about all the pre-production planning before full-on development begins, before the production phase of software creation. This episode, will be very listy. So here we go. Pre-production organization briefs. Organization and team profile brief. There should be a profile document that details the development team's experience and specialties. It should note key information. If a category does not exist or apply to the game that you hear here, just say it doesn't apply and move on. Describe your team and their experience honestly in the most persuasive and convincing way possible in order to establish confidence in their ability to deliver an excellent quality game on time, on budget. Pre-production organization briefs should include experience on the target platform and doing cross-platform development if appropriate. It should include experience with the game genre or product genre. It should include experience with audio, sound, voice, music, user interface, front end, back end, overlays, heads-up displays or HUD, tools and build pipelines, localization catalogs, localization content, providing game solutions, anything. It should include technical requirement checklists, TRCs or TCRs. It should have compliance with platform needs such as Apple, Google, whoever. It should have experience what the leads in managing both the product, the genre, and the company, etc. are. It should cover a lot of content development areas in their experience, like art, 3D modeling, organic and inorganic objects, 3D texturing, 3D animation, including morph targets, blending, inverse kinematics, bones, ragdolls, and so on. Object and 3D rigging, character setup, weighting, scene lighting and effects, world building and layout, interface design, art and layout, UI. And then of course audio, sound effects, music composition, whether that be live, sequenced, MIDI, digital, other, outsource management, sample reduction. And then there's producers, or production as they like to call themselves sometimes, about design, especially as it relates to the genre, user interface, their flows, their mock-ups, their transitions, their visual cues, audio sounds. Technical requirement list I mentioned, TRCs or TCRs, if you're using a console device, hot swapping, controllers, memory cards, other things, television display safe areas, or marketing interface support, scheduling adherence, licensing interface and management, external development experience. And how about engineers? They need to understand what domains they've been assigned to, what expertise is required, what subsystems they're responsible for, what expertise is on the team. Rendering, 3D rendering, world terrain, scene graphing, CPU sorting, clipping, and object and scene culling, character and object rendering and animation, geometry and texture compression in various formats, artificial intelligence, AI, and my goodness, there's a lot there these days, especially as it might relate to your genre or design or generative creation, physics, collision, network, cloud, input controls and lag controls if it's network interface buffered, optimization, performance and storage, user interface, UI, human machine interface again, HMI, GUIs, experience a la gameplay, tuning, balancing in the genres, general management, scheduling, development, tracking, forecasts versus actuals, inter-team and group experience and how dependencies and handoffs are managed and handled, external development experience and likewise how they're interfaced, managed, and handled. How about training? Is there training plans for the individuals and groups? Do they go to universities? Do they have their own corporate university? Are there internal courses? What's in place? What's necessary? Do you need to plan on people attending a course that you didn't anticipate? They're going to hit your schedule for capacity? What about training new team members and guidelines and getting them started and jump starting? Or how about building data and conversion documentation pipelines? Are there missing or needed staff? Are there holes in capabilities that they intend to hire? What are the odds and probability of hiring such skills? Can your business offer the resources to offset the difference? Are there shared team members with other teams or groups? It's a scary thing when there's a key person or a capacity that has been double counted, and when your project is second, you lose. And sometimes they won't tell you they've stolen that key person. What about principal contacts and leads? Who is the lead producer and designer? Who is in charge of the interface and flow? Is there a key producer for that? Is there a producer in charge of localization? Who is the QA lead? Who is the program or development director? Who is the lead engineer? Who is the front-end engineer? Who is the lead interface designer? Who is the lead artist? Are there 3D and 2D lead artists, UI artists? Who is the assistant art lead? Are there many of them? Who is the lead technical artist? Is there a CG soup? Who is the lead technical director? Who is the network engineer? Who might the build and pipeline engineer or engineers be? Who are the audio engineers? Is there only one or many? Is there a lead sound artist? Who is the composer for music? Are there many? Is it outsourced? Previous and new product team and skills identified. Is this the original developer, or is this someone else taking on an older game, someone else's game, some foreign code? Has that been considered with your planning? Is there a leadership Venn diagram that shows discipline coverage, design, business, operations, tech, financial, and so much more? Is there an org chart that shows the team structure and how they will focus their work context, feature, domain, product, infrastructure, etc.? Is there a team profile that shows headcount, resourcing, ramp plans, and rate logic with assumptions driving their forecast? In other words, do you get to see how many people are on the project at any given month and how much money they're charging for that work? Is there the ability to identify capacity, demand versus available capacity, including again when they're going to hire and ramp those people in? Are they local transfer talent from within the business, or are they actually new hires? And do those people have to have special knowledge? Is that ramp up time factored in? Is there separate raw from expert capacity to validate resourcing plan and capture expert critical path bottlenecks? Has there been an effort to assess the organization's ability to sustain unassigned headcount, team members not assigned to projects, and people that are not entirely assigned to the projects? In other words, is it clear who has been assigned to the project and who's available should they have a valley or a peak demand to roll people on or roll people off? Is there a decision process or processes to align the group and resolve conflicts, including leadership and personal and per discipline and team member processes? What is their flexibility in process, technology, design, and resourcing? This all sets the backdrop for engagement plans, including objective understanding of potential tension and collaboration points. Commitment and exit strategy for the studio leadership and key staff ensures presence throughout the relationship. You need to know what their exit strategy is for their business. What is their commitment to staying on the product through the end? You need to complete a facilities and security review to provide confidence that the physical and electronic data is safe and the team is able to scale its size as required. It is important to look at hardware, equipment, and software. Do they have what they need? Catalog from the original developer any licensed, leased, or purchased hardware and software. Confirm if they need something to be further loaned or paid for or purchased for them to succeed. Evaluate workflows for both efficient and over-dependence on limited hardware and software availability. Make sure to confirm legitimacy of the ownership and rights they have to hardware and software. What leases or licenses do they have? Have anything expired? Has anything been pirated? Think encumbrance. What open source, third-party code, libraries, tools, middleware, etc. that they're using that they may not have the rights to use? Do they have to modify and share back that code? Is it something that we do not as a business want to share back? Watch for employee-owned or independently developed tools, code. even ideas that they might have brought to the business that may not have rights, and thus we would be in trouble for contracting with them. Have the mailing lists available for everybody, all the parties involved, especially the leads and the directors. Outline the meeting roadmap and who should attend what meetings. Have the team leads from central teams be included wherever appropriate, especially groups like quality assurance, marketing, PR. What is the expertise plan for the project? Is there a ramp that's required? Are they bringing in externals? Well, that was already a pretty crazy list for the pre-production organization briefs. Let's now look at the pre-production planning and review process. Team profiles should be presented with domain expertise, veteran grade, with primary areas of responsibility. You should assess the overhead and support the developers may need for operation, such as IT, facilities, security, possibly other management. You should look at techniques and tools to focus and direct development and planning. And under that should be development process review for development stages like ideation, pre-production, first production, production, finaling. There should be areas like pre-production roadmap and plan setting for key milestones, waypoint milestones, proofs, other key dates, pre-production deliverable roadmaps with dates and task estimations and durations. There should be a development schedule or schedules with named resources, technical planning and estimates, design and tuning planning and estimates, and rough finaling assumptions and forecasts with capacity and expertise. There should be identified assumptions that drive the estimates, dates, and deliverables. Include discipline, raw, and expert capacity to avoid invalid staff month estimations. Note critical path and related pushed dependent tasks outward. This is all overhang. Include time boxing strategies for prototyping and ideation, including restarts and iteration tuning and integration blocks of time. Is there a guiding rule for percentage of time per box slice or category of work? Use true cost of execution per game area of feature, not predicted estimates. Are the current estimates they're using for each area derived from historicals, true costs, actuals, proven costs, or are they just made up, pulled from the air? Milestone delivery map with visual layout of features per milestone and what matters most tags should be present. Feature capacity and/or cost map that is grouped against what matters most ensures that most spend is burned on what matters most or the foundational delivery tech. The idea is to show a feature capacity map that shows where all the time is spent by the team and individuals and see that it is truly allocated to the things that we say matter most or the foundational tech, not on some ancillary wild ideas. Next, capability capacity gap solution plan with budgeted headcount, ramps, and experts. Assumption validation strategy for all disciplines and scheduling. Sick, vacation, parental days off are all factored into scheduling, especially for domain experts and leaders. Some countries like France mandate countrywide time off spanning over a month every year, usually during the summer. What is the work from home or remote work policy for the staff? Does it align and work successfully with the rest of the company, teams, and external partners? And your business? What are the work days? Work days should match everyone's work days. For example, a 4-day work week where not everyone is 4 days is stupid. As an aside, I experimented with a 4-day work week once. It was okay enough for the team, but it did not mesh with real-world daycare, and it limited otherwise used mornings and evenings for gym and personal life. And working with other 5-day per week teams, external and internal, proved very problematic. All in, after a long trial period, we reverted back to 5-day standard work weeks. It just doesn't work unless everyone is aligned to a 4-day work week and are willing to sacrifice their entire personal life for those 4 days. Let's continue. There should be a technical management plan with meetings and cadence, signage, reports, documentation, and communication approaches. There should be product version feature plans, including scope and role, stack ranking to record features for future releases and DLC. Imagine just like an Excel sheet even, where you have your features that you want to make on one pane or a tab, and the things that don't quite make it, you just put on the next tab. You don't have to worry about that tab, but you always know they're there, should you have the opportunity to add scope. Very unlikely, but more likely to add a future content or product. Feature, that's the idea. So let's continue. Is there an ongoing forecast versus actual analysis and improvement plan? Is quality assurance and their test techniques documented? Have you looked at focus and user research demos and plans? Have you had focus research sessions? Has user research been signed off by executives? Is there a dedicated versus shared test resourcing plan? Are there tests QA members embedded with the team? Are they separate from the team? What is open for testing as a roadmap? When will things be made available for test to look at and provide feedback? What is the QA test roadmap for ramping the staff up? What are the total and per domain bug forecasts? What are the anticipated find rates for bugs? What's the anticipated fix rate by the development team for those bugs? What is the predicted regression verification plan and the assumptions that drive it? What's the cost to fix each bug in terms of time, capacity, and money? What is the road to final plan? And what are its supporting assumptions? What requirements does it have from third party or publishers or QA? Lead directors and executive producer have all signed off on the production plan for test. And have all dependent groups signed off? Are any shared services signed off on support requirements? Has hosting signed off on any server bandwidth or support requirements they may have? Has any hosting signed off on additional APIs or cross-platform interface dependencies, marketplace or authentication requirements? Has marketing signed off with the plan for demos, any still art, poster images, screen captures, videos? Have it been locked in with a team to deliver those experiences and that content? Has legal or corporate affairs signed off on tech, design, business issues, especially for open source, middleware, and any licensed content or requirements or constraints? Alrighty, we're now at pre-production technology design briefs. So, are there technology briefs? They should be about one brief per subsystem, tool, data, pipeline, anything that is a unique tech or tool. Each game system or software subsystem, custom tool, data conversion, build pipeline, AI feature, whatever. Even things like scene graphing, rendering, reward systems, character progression, whatever. Everything needs its own tech brief. Every single feature, tool, and technology should be addressed in their own review briefs, and they should be reviewed separately. There should be a brief explanation justifying technology choices, demonstrating both an understanding of the tech and the team's cost-benefit analysis of it. All technology briefs should include existing technology that might be leveraged, modified or retooled existing technology, licensed technology, including middleware, new technology that must be made or created or innovated. Mandatory technology briefs are hardware utilization and performance brief. It should include target frame rates, sustained or variable performance. It should include display resolutions, dimensions, color depth, whether it uses 3D culling, Z buffers, etc. It should consider whether it uses CG soups for its art calibration to make sure that all art development and QA stations have true color so they match the proper RGB as opposed to imagined correct colors. They should have specialized color calibration hardware for this purpose. Is there a target platform and device feature that's been utilized, maximized with a plan? In other words, is there a plan to use wireless, Bluetooth, touchscreens, 8K, 4K, HD TV, whatever resolution, gamepads, mouse, trackpads, stylus, tablets, whatever? You get the idea. There's a gazillion features for every target platform and input and output and function. Is there a plan on how to use them? Again, one brief for everything. Next, is there a memory and media allocation brief? It should include memory allocation for normal random access memory, that's CPU memory, video RAM, as in video memory for GPUs or picture processing units, PPUs. Or is it the same thing, media RAM or ARAM? What is the media allocation for all of the product within the storage allocation, within its memory, within its storage mediums on the network? What is the saved game plan? What is the same data structures? What data at least will be saved? Will there be compression, etc.? What are the technical requirements checklists or TRCs or TCRs based on which publisher you're going to submit to? If you're going to Google, to Apple, you're going to Microsoft, you're going to Sony, what are you going to do? Nintendo. Everybody's got a list of requirements. Have you planned for what you need to do to pass their review for manufacture and release? This may also include a maintenance plan for how you update SDKs ongoing. Is there a processor utilization brief? Processor utilization might include things like concurrency, parallel processing, CPUs, floating point or coprocessors, graphic processors, multi-cores, multi-threading, etc. Hyper-threading, the list goes on. I've mentioned many times user interface, human-machine interface, etc. UI front-end technical briefs need to be defined for how it will be defined in the user front end and how it will be defined in the user back end. Are there briefs that describe the transitions or special effects or audio or visual cues that might exist for the GUI or user interface and how screens or areas transition from one to another? What pop-ups might exist and how do they appear and go away and how do they use memory and heaps? What are the input devices? Gamepad, mouse, keyboard, touchscreen, etc. What are the marketing tools that will be used? Explain the plan for how marketing will provide screenshots, video captures, etc. Are there ways to capture super high resolution images of the game for poster art far beyond what the game's resolution may have ever been? What are the IP or intellectual property encumbrances? I've mentioned before, open source, but there's also third-party code, libraries, tools, middlewares, other possible code within the major corporation that you work within or they work within. What are the rights to use, modify, distribute? Are there dependencies? Is the code finished and ready for prime time? Watch for employee-owned or independently developed tools like I've mentioned, or code, even ideas that they brought to the company they may allege they own the rights to. What are the techniques and tools to focus and direct technology? Tech roadmaps should exist with deliverables, with test for completions or TFCs. That's like how you will verify something was actually working, as opposed to letting QA just decide that it was good enough. So TFCs, test for completions, should be there. They need owners and dates to exit pre-production mapped out and implemented for the tech roadmap. Tech feasibility analysis must be documented for all what matters most features, magic moments that are critical to the water cooler storyteller or playground moments, narrow design decision points and features. A tech stack overview should be done with modularity and containment planning. Plus, there should be module interfaces that are mapped with any container hopping exceptions identified. These would be most likely things that will be high candidates for technical debt down the road to be refactored. Each subsystem, feature, build target, and hardware or hardware abstraction layer HAL or HAL and software development kit SDK interface should have only one clear contained interface contract Keep engineering and dependency technology upgrades easy by minimizing direct communication with them. Examples of common mistakes include multiple subsystems and developers writing directly to GPU or hardware via a HAL or SDK redundantly when they should have used an interface provided by some other API. Next, I mentioned way earlier in a different episode, follow the data. I'll ask you, follow the data for each type of asset or experience in a product. It is a way to ensure that software architecture protects private implementation flexibility and defines long-term interface contracts for other subsystems, features, tools that developers can trust and rely upon. Is there a tech stack plan with containment and modularity and those module interfaces that I mentioned earlier, and specifically identifying any layer hopping exceptions? Is there, as I've asked, a tech leverage plan that identifies existing tech to be leveraged as is, or that shall be harvested and refactored, or that shall be licensed or purchased, and/or shall be shared back? Is there a dependency list of requirements with external support noted? For example, do you need phones, tablets, localization teams, outsourcing contract partners, QA, any other shared service licenses, sponsors? All dependencies should be outlined. Foundation delivery tech must be complete so that only features and content will be done in production. Are features proven in software with shippable code with target memory and frame rate, per the Tech Alpha definition? Remember, exceptions are okay if there is a solid plan and veteran experts are scheduled to prove and optimize them, even in production. Is there a concurrency or parallelism and profiling plan in place? Is it in code for automatic memory, frames per second, CPU, GPU, bus, and media access calculation and optimization plan? Are there unit tests planned? Have they been instrumented where possible early on to set expectations and examples for the game or the software? Are there technical design documents, TDDs, and technical design reviews, TDRs, with task planning, estimation, dependencies, risk, and mitigation? Hopefully, the very things that you're reviewing. Are there editing, tuning, and preview tools to allow non-engineers to tune and edit game content, art, and audio? Is there configuration management, CM, solutions in place for automatic builds, backup, version control, and distribution of content builds? All build targets should be buildable with relative paths over a network as a disconnected virtual machine without any presumed or preset environmental variables. All physical builds should run under disk emulation to verify proper read-only file management, relative path support, and seek read tolerance and performance. This may include network simulation performance as well. Media that can be physically damaged should have redundancies of critical data such as program binaries. Networks should be wholly disconnected and reconnected to ensure they can recover. Runtime code should be tolerant of missing or corrupted assets, gracefully informing the user of problems, and continuing as best operation as possible in their absence. Let me tell you a tale of the old days. In the old days, we would duplicate program binaries and key data on inner and outermost tracks of CDs and DVD-ROMs, the read-only discs. We would put presentation data like art and levels, etc., not duplicated on the middle tracks. If a program track failed to read, the software need only seek to the opposite extreme end of the disk, where it was not damaged, and read that. If both were damaged, the disk was destroyed, and it was very unlikely that that actually happened. If a level was destroyed, the game would merely say, "It doesn't work," skipping. Continuing. Is there a localization tech plan? Is it integrated in software? Does it support database, formatting, fonts, screen real estate, scaling for the fonts and texts? Is there a text database that all the text is pulled from that supports localization, internationalization? Is there an online and cross-device tech interface and topology map that shows how all the devices and all the technologies in online networking connect and interface to each other? Is there a cloud logic and storage plan that shows working in software and how latency will be tolerated? Is there a dynamic content capability plan? Has it already been built into software to support scripted content for dynamic content, a la a dynamic link library, but instead downloaded content? Can it handle dynamically multi-load assets? Can the user interface be dynamically modified? Are there DLC or downloadable content unlocks for content? Is there server-driven content, such as events, modified content, configured user interfaces and options and choices, links and defaults, screens and transitions? Is there native code versus script code that is downloaded? Is it just-in-time compiled? Or is it in fact interpreted script? Is there any function or data exposure? Is there a runtime resolution and memory address fix-up? Is there any kind of runtime binding approach in order to allow data to be resolved at runtime that otherwise had no idea what it was beforehand? Are there QA or test tools integrated in-game and in back-end solutions to support online load and stress tests, user interface and localization crawlers to walk through all the displays and capture interfaces, saving humans time? Is there a telemetry tech instrumentation plan, and is it been put into the client with a server backend supporting it? Has QA been able to test this? Has QA had their telemetry instrumented? Has telemetry been instrumented for what QA will test, ensuring they in fact tested what you think they tested, and how often and frequently they did? Is there screen and video capture tools supporting the high-res up images we talked about for marketing? Is the same thing available for audio? Are there audio-visual targets, AVTARs, in software demonstrating the look and feel, quality, variety, and cadence of effects? If not, are there AVTARs at least in print on posters people can look at to inspire and guide the vision? Now let's get to pre-production experience design briefs. And wow, we're going a lot. Is there product vision and playable demonstrations with summary of work, cost to date, and outstanding and risk mitigations? Is there a marketing opportunity analysis or MOA, market opportunity analysis, and consumer research reinforcing the product design decisions and positioning? Is there techniques and tools to focus and guide product design? Is there a what matters most or major features locked in with consumer-facing features that position the elevator statement that reinforces the heart of the game? Are there design tenets that define illustrating philosophies behind the what matters most and magic moments? Are there narrow design documents that help define what the product's competitiveness is and how it will be a blue ocean product, not a red ocean product, how it is truly innovative in quality? Are there magic moment lists that support the what matters most with tie-ins and consumer-facing elevator stories, perhaps personas that reinforce the idea, fictional people that make the story feel real to the developers and marketing and consumers? What will people say about each magic moment? Is that quantified in the elevator story? Are there stack-ranked features with group supporting elements, including what matters most tags and capacity budget associated per feature? Is there a game design document, a master GDD? Are there supporting game design documents and game design briefs and materials that solidify the entire concept? Is there a glue meta experience defined that integrates holistically all the individual design briefs and ideas together? Is there a horizontal slice that demonstrates all of the vertical pieces together so the meta experience can be tested early on? As in, fail fast, fail early, fail cheap. Prototype early. Vertical slice, core X playable, showing core game experience is fun, engaging, and mechanically proven accessible. Is there a vertical slice, core X playable? This is the idea that says the game or product should be made. Is there a communication and team alignment approach and cadence? What are the partner and staff design alignment techniques to align senior execs, marketing, licensors, developers, the team in general? Are there stand-ups, scrum and velocity, agile development plans? What are the reviews and course correction techniques? What signage or postage or displays or schedules or printouts, sprints, demos, play sessions are planned? Are there feature proofs and risk lists identifying proven and unproven design ideas and areas and features, with plans to prove and lock the ones that are unknown? Are there control and mechanics that are intuitive, accessible, and fun for demographic target markets? Is the core of the game there? Why will people want to play it? Is there personalization and stickiness that shows how the game will deliver its customized experience and why people will want to return to play it? Is there a social and community plan that provides local, live, mobile, and web interaction, shared content, and bragging experiences? Is there progression and discovery maps that show pacing, passive, and active engagement? Is there a UI presentation and navigation, look and feel, control, and UI screen link navigation map so that every single interface is defined? Is there a post-launch content plan to support paid downloadable content or just free downloadable content, marketing unlocks or content deliveries, dynamic server-driven content changing, tuning, or events? All sorts of stuff. Are there audio-visual targets, AVTARs, and media designs in software that demonstrate all the look and feel, quality, variety, the effects, and the cadence of their appearance? Is there a telemetry plan with specific information requested for user play, user interface, and modes, including why they're important? Is there a localization plan with territories and supported languages in voice, text, and video? And is there an appropriate age rating review for what those products need in different territories throughout the world? And now we are at pre-production development plan briefs. Development briefs. They should be a list of key development briefs that should be generated to reflect the understanding and comprehensive plan to deliver the game as it has been designed. Mandatory development briefs are: required equipment, software, facilities brief. Provide a list of anticipated equipment, software, and facilities needed by the development team to succeed. They may include computers, like desktops, servers, wireless adapters, whatever, platform development and debug kits, software seats, compilers, 2D, 3D art packages, audio packages, art packages for user interface like Flash, whatever, security devices like software, whether VPN, networking, whatever. Have they identified 3D applications and tools they may use for that side of 3D art? What are they? Have they any special modifications required or plugins they need? What are the 3D, 2D, audio, video, or other tools and editing programs they intend to use? Is there a single doc that describes them all? List any plugins or tools, like I say, that they have to buy, license, or write themselves. Do they even exist? Can they be made? Is it difficult to make? Workflows briefs. The workflow brief should illustrate all workflows between the game team and external groups, identifying handoff points and ownership at each stage. It may include swim lanes and handoff points. It's possible there are multiple workflow briefs, depending on which groups talk to each other. It should answer: has the art sign-off process been created for all art assets? Has a workflow map been made with each stage of how assets will be integrated into the product? Has a pre-production and production framework been produced showing each stage of how assets make it into the game? Has any outsourced work that must be placed into the game been defined, and will it be put in, and when? Is there a formal pre-production and production and finaling framework that has been produced that shows every stage the game team will make to finish the game and integrate their assets? Has any outsourced work that must be done been planned for and integrated into their workflows and into their schedules and timelines, and have they been proven able to do so? Is there a capacity plan brief? This is a capacity plan for all staff and external groups alike. Is there a milestone theme brief? For every major and minor feature for any given deliverable milestone, there should be some kind of theme. Is it an existing feature, a modified feature, or a new feature? And what is that theme? Visual style guides brief. This brief should show visual mock-ups for all key areas of the game, including gameplay and front-end interfaces. It should have visual targets that are documented for each asset type and overall visual of the game and where they will appear. Have the visual targets been determined possible by the technical director and lead engineer? Have the visual targets been approved as possible and acceptable quality by the art director and CG supervisor? Do we have all the tools required to achieve the visual targets? And if not, what still must be done to prove and deliver that art? Are there conceptual designs required? Are they available now? Has the art team been notified of what artwork they need to do, or is it to be outsourced? And the audio style guides brief. This brief should provide links to audio style guides for static and dynamically generated and stitched effector, sound effects and environmental effects, music, voiceovers, and so forth, all targeted within the game or application, including the front end and during active play, and any cinematics, whether they be interactive or non-interactive. There should be a list of licenses and legal needs and issues in a brief. There should be known top risks brief. This should be major risks, minor risks, standard risks, concerns, etc. They should all have owners, mitigations, fallback contingency plans, detailed descriptions. They should have test cases that prove or validate they have been in fact done to the successful expectation of the product performance and feature capability. They should include dates for contingency adoption and or abort discard decisions for a given feature, even the product. There should be an owner, again, who determines when a contingency plan should be adopted or aborted. Is there a key dates brief? Provide a list of all key dates the project needs to know about and engage with that's outside of the development plan and its core milestones. Examples might have been E3, marketing events, genre timelines like when a sports product must be released, like a FIFA or a Madden football. Or if there are movie and license coinciding releases. If you're making a game about a movie, it likely needs to come out when the movie comes out. Are there focus tests planned? Are there dates for key major QA deliverables? Are there key dates for executive reviews? Is there a pre-production prototype feature and technology roadmap brief? This should include a complete development schedule that delivers prototypes and final solutions, not throwaway or unshippable code, that proves out and delivers game features, technologies, and workflows and pipelines within the target retail platform's memory, performance, and load times. Pre-production timeline checkpoint spreadsheets should be available, filled out with buckets and bubbles of work and key milestone dates. All work has a specified proof outcome, duration, assigned staff, and approval sign owner and process. Corporate and security deliverable schedule should be completed and incorporated into the milestone deliverables. Features and tech mind map or maps should be defined and rendered and delivered within the schedule to show easy understanding of the milestone themes and the deliverable features and the technology required for it. And we are at pre-production discussion briefs. Is this an iterative title? If so, outline the questions below for the previous build and the current console build. The point here is to leverage any work that can be leveraged from a prior build, wherever possible. Have source art teams been made aware that they are working on a similar title that may have pre-existing art or assets? Who has been notified? How have they been notified? Has their notification been documented? What procedure is in place for contacting the source team for information? Has the source team been asked for access to all available documentation and assets or materials? Where can it all be accessed from? Is the software design finished? Is there a game design or product design, at least solid enough design, that the major features can proceed? The design should indicate any play mechanics that are different than the previous version, including new interfaces, AI, levels, characters, uniforms, music, anything. It is absolutely critical that feature specs be completed prior to related tech briefs being authored. Is there a postmortem available? If this is a sequel product or is based on an existing game engine, there should be a postmortem and it should be reviewed. Is this a cross-platform development product? Is it planned to be one? Even if you're not currently planning to develop across multiple platforms, games should always plan to be cross-platform wherever possible. What is your plan to support this immediately or in the future should it be necessary to port or translate your application to a new platform? What version control software is being used or will be used? Version control is important to any development team. Everyone should use version control software, including artists, engineers, sound artists, designers, producers, etc. There should be a standard directory structure that is intuitive and consistent. All documents from game conception to completion should be saved. If it was written for a team to use, there was a reason it was made. There was a reason it was documented, and therefore it should be saved and used when possible. What software packages does each discipline use? Engineers, artists, producers, sound artists, management, other? Is there a documented guideline for directory structures, or are there examples of them? How is everything backed up? Who will administrate the version control server? How will bugs be tracked? Will there be a shared network with accessible bug tracking databases, such as using Jira? What bug tracking software will be used? Who will customize it to suit your team and project? Is there a clear bug reporting and fix and regression test workflow in place? Who will administer and maintain the bug database and server? How will daily and weekly builds be done? There should be daily builds from a clean source to validate current source is wholly functional. There should be weekly builds that include complete rebuilds of every raw asset, including deleting everything from caches, intermediary files, environment variables, etc. Is there a release or a final build done daily, allowing QA to test it in the morning? Can it be automatically tested? Is each build named properly for everyone to reference? Is there a central location for build status reports to be presented and reported? Are builds labeled in source control so that source can be retrieved per build easily? Is there a dev build separate from a known good or last known stable good build, or a best art build? Any number of labels that might become standard that are important to your software business. The methodology of having multiple builds where one is always functional will save countless hours over the lifetime of production and is critical when an executive last minute wants to see something. How will metrics, performance, and memory use be tracked? All code should be built from the start to track memory use per allocation type, high and low watermarks at different stages of the game, front and back end, different modes and levels. Processor performance from major subsystems, top level to the inner key loops, should all be understood and measured and profiled. What is the frame rate? Again, throughout all modes and cases and instances of the game. What automatic metric gathering is done nightly? Not just from QA and test and play, self-running demo with automatic play, maybe AI running through the build itself and testing itself by itself, reporting as though it was a tester itself. Are there ways to send automated tests and comparisons to see what the game has perceived or rendered and what was expected? Are there automated ways to compare and identify areas of improvement and loss throughout the different builds and milestones? Have major development phases been planned? Define the development cycle in terms of phases. For example, raw port phase, proofs phase, reduction enhancement phase, first playable phase, new features phase, etc. And then, of course, things like finaling phases: pre-alpha, tech alpha, alpha, pre-beta, beta, final, archival, postmortem, and so on. Is the game simulation deterministic? Are there cosmetic presentation features which are engine simulation independent and may use a separate random generator and therefore a separate random seed? Avoid using ANSI standard random generators so that you can ensure future compatibility and your own predictable pseudo-random sequencing. It is possible that a random generator will not be the same even in the same platform with a different compiler. Always remember, it doesn't matter whether it's the same platform or a PC, an Xbox, a PlayStation, or whatever. They're all the same. They might change, or they might not use the same seeds or the same algorithms. Continuing on determinism. AI physics and simulation functions that use a controller or a seed must all tie back to the same input system. Have render, simulation, and network updates been decoupled? It is important to separate the game's major updates from each other so gameplay is consistent regardless of latent network communication, slow rendered scenes, and so forth. Each major update, rendering, simulation, and networking, should be tied to elapsed time, not the current game. Are times planned to evaluate and improve workflows, data pipelines, tools, game integration, and the like? The process and tools used by artists and designers to create art, lay out levels, and place objects should be evaluated for workflow and data conversion, build pipelines frequently used to minimize confusion, focus work, and increase productive output. Always improve your build pipelines and tools so that they are as automated as possible and remove repetitive actions by your artists or creators wherever possible. Well, that was a lot, and I am sure I have forgotten tremendous more. So I say congratulations to you to make it through this very deep dive of pre-production checklist items. And just imagine, there's still production and deep area analysis and optimization ahead. On to another topic on what to look for in technical and experiential design briefs and documents in a general way. It's important to set the level of detail and what you expect from designs regardless of whether it's experiential or technical. A tech or experience design brief should include, but not limited to, the status quo or current situation. What exists today? What's the background? It should define the need. What's the problem? What's the opportunity that justifies this work? What is the solution? A high-level description or proposed detailed description of that work. What's expected? What's the benefit or return on investment going to be? In functionality, performance gain or improvement, memory storage network use reduction, and of course, revenue, profit, the moolah. A technical implementation plan should include what work has been done to date, what's already been finished, and what's a work in progress. It should detail the work description, identifying again existing, modified, new code, libraries, etc. Some types of work may require different supporting information, like memory, media, performance maps, tables, graphs, charts, or internal states, objects, targets to the algorithm subsystem engine, inputs to the algorithm subsystem engine, outputs from the algorithm subsystem engine, how things are profiled and measured, snapshots, and over time. Are there task breakdowns with time estimates, dependencies, and who's doing the work? Are there tests for completion, TFCs, to confirm the work is solvent and finished? Are there tools in person, whatever, to also help TFCs validate they're done? What are the risks to successfully implementing the plan? What risks exist, including the probability of their being realized? When must a risk be reacted to before it's too late to take a fallback plan or contingency decision? What is the fallback contingency plan itself? And what problematic situation will force its being taken? Who owns the fallback decision? Who signs off on this total plan? Like I said, it's a tremendous amount of information. So congratulations. I look forward to our next episodes.